And welcome to the first ever Coa Sports Race 1.
Round 1, mate. It's on. We're up for points.
Can't
no more
wait.
mucking around. We are on.
Let's do it.
Let's roll.
And here we are, Coa Sports League Round 1. Tim, this is going to be one of the most awesome nights of our week. Every week, well, not every second week, whatever it is, for the next period of time. How many races are we running?
So we've got so it's a 9-race season culminating obviously in a final in October. So this is round 1. We've had a few rehearsals, we've had a few pre-season races, we've even had a few tests even before that. So the athletes have had a real chance to refine their craft, and I know certainly this week and last week they've been out there working hard, even doing a little bit of reconnaissance riding out on the course tonight. So of course we're on Watopia Flat, which is a 10.1 kilometre lap. We're going to do two laps. So as always, you get the hard and fast start. There are clearly some critical moments. The ramp out of the aquarium is obviously a critical moment. Then they will wind their way through the fishing village. Block your nose. It could be a bit of smelly sardine action through there. They'll come out of there and climb up a small sort of the climb out of the fishing village, of course, the S's ramp, and then into the finish line, which they'll have to go through twice.
Yeah, so quite a relatively flat course. There's only, 61 metres per lap, so 120 metres of elevation. I'm looking forward to it because it means, I think, that the groups are going to stick together a lot more. There's going to be a bit of strategic racing with power-ups. There's been a couple of changes come through from Zwift in the last fortnight as well with power-ups, so it's going to be really interesting to see how everyone plays it.
Yep, and the first race, obviously, everyone's in their own kits, but there'll be a great little rollout coming out the next few weeks, which everyone will keep an eye out for. And a little surprise, but of course, our kits made by our wonderful partner 2XU. And with that said, let's throw a little ad about how you can make your own custom kit.
Got some fresh new young talent doing some things that I know you haven't heard before.
1, 2, 3, listen.
Tim, let's have a chat about who is in what league tonight. I want to give a few shout-outs as well as we go. So I'm going to start with A grade. So we're running A, B, C, and D grade.
Yeah,
so
4 categories.
So 4 categories. In A grade tonight, drum roll, we have Jason Avery, Tebow, we have Chris Piper, Aaron Stagg, and Aaron Webb.
Okay, fantastic. In B grade, we have Stephen Davies. Stevie Davies is, of course, located in far north Queensland, Cairns, and Tony Goodyear in Melbourne.
And an absolutely stacked field in C grade. It's going to be interesting to watch the racing here. We've got Zach Anstey, Jeff Bartlett, April Gillies, Sarah Goodyear, Phil Ingram, Jason Madsen, Sean Ryan, and Alex Tolman.
And, of course, Jeff Bartlett in Canberra at the moment, where I'm sure the road is icy after the cold snap, which is the beauty of Zwift. In D grade, we have Dave Biondo in Melbourne, Adrian Elsom all the way over in Perth in Western Australia, and Hayley Tuck also in Melbourne. And of course, Hayley and Dave would be side by side in the garage.
There's going to be a bit going on in the
there could be some elbows
in the Biondo Tuck household tonight.
There could be some elbows. So, mate, it's a really interesting, actually, when we think about how the categories are weighted here at the moment. We've got 9 starters, so we award points down to 5 places.
Yep.
So, of course, with only 2 in B, they're going home with points. And it's probably, it's too late to change. And this is what I suppose is the whole other element to the Koa Sports League and the strategy of choosing. Now, of course, with 9 races, we only take your best 6 results.
Yep.
Because we essentially assume that, of course, these guys are all amateur athletes. We have no professional athletes, and they have Monday to Friday or Monday to Sunday these days jobs, and we don't assume they can hit all 9 races.
Yep.
So we assume that they can do 6.
And a good example tonight, we've had a couple of messages come through, and this is why the league's been created the way it is. A couple of guys who have got family commitments, work commitments or guys and girls that have sent a quick text and saying, hey, won't be in tonight, but I'll be in next race. Doesn't matter. Your top 6 races are what's going to count, and there's some amazing prizes at the end. And it's not too late to get involved. If you're watching at home now, the points are for your best 6 races. So if you miss tonight, you've still got 8 races to get your best 6 results.
Yeah, plus all the group workouts. And of course, that probably goes to the heart of what we are as a coaching business, of course, is we try and cater for everyone. And perhaps we want to learn a little bit more about our coaching business, and we'll throw to a short break. Koa Sports is a truly global bespoke coaching business. No templates, no workout libraries, no shortcuts, no drag and drop. We teach athletes so they understand the why and the how. We keep it as simple as the athlete likes or delve as deep as the data will go.
And, that's a little bit about our business. There was some really cool images in there of our camp, actually, that's coming up next month, which we can't wait to see some athletes all over the world come down and hang out with us on the Sunshine Coast for a week. The water temp is still
Evian. It's like swimming in warm Evian water, and we're going to have some fantastic cycling. Of course, we have our podcast as well, the Koa Sports Podcast, which you can subscribe on Apple. And, of course, on Android is Podomatic.
Podomatic. Yep, check out Podomatic. And if you do want to know more about coaching, and that's what we do full-time every day, Monday to Sunday, I'm going to say, www.koasports.com.au. Whatever sort of endurance event you are training for at the moment, we can definitely help.
Yeah, well, obviously, I had an athlete say to me the other day, just to digress for a second, about my hobby is not your hobby. And I think it's a really good way to say it because, of course, there are some great hobby coaches out there, but for us, it's how we make a living and it's how we feed our families. So we are absolutely invested, and the strength of the Koa Sport podcast at the moment and the feedback we're getting has been fantastic. So jump on and have a look. We are inside 1 minute, Greg. 1 minute. So everyone will be certainly starting to get fairly warm. They will have done their warm-ups prescribed, of course, by their wonderful coaches. And, they'll really start to sort of crank that up with about 10 seconds to go. She is going to be a hard start. It's going to be hard.
One of the funny things, it is funny actually, is to see the athletes
I'll be the judge of that.
Absolutely bomb it off the start. And we get the beauty of having a look at their data afterwards. So we'll definitely start to commentate from the time that little flag drops, and we'll be out the door, or the time the gate's released, I should say. So if you haven't already, you'd want to be starting to really ramp it up.
Here we go, off in 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Righto.
And we are away. Drop the hammer.
Drop it.
Here we go, the big hard and fast start. We're going to see some orange numbers on the right. Tebow in A grade, dropping 8.4 watts per kilo, really putting the effort in and putting on the pressure early. He is going to be a very, very hard cyclist to catch. But he'll be super aggressive. He is a super aggressive cyclist, and one we really enjoy coaching. But the response is there. You can see already the response is there. We've got some little mini attacks. Alex Tolman, Philip Ingram, big wattage dropping here.
There is some huge numbers, like to be pushing 6. Tony Goodyear, I saw there, 6.2 watts a kilo. Steve Davies, 8 watts per kilo, trying to get
Fantastic.
back onto the group.
Yep.
And there's
Good
some,
cadence too here with Aaron Stagg. Really good cadence. He's Aaron Stagg, of course, is in New Zealand at the moment, and for him, this is a late one. So getting to sleep might be an issue late in the day.
Yeah, so one of the cool things about the league is that we've got athletes in New Zealand and we've got athletes 4 hours behind in time in Perth in the same event.
Yeah.
It's really cool.
Yeah. So look, you can probably already see that just a little bit of separation there in the front group. You can see a clear front pack forming. April's only about 2 seconds off that front group if she can respond here and try to hang, or then you have that second group there. You can see the seconds there with Zach and Steve Davis. So really solid start. Alex and April have done a tremendous job there to hang in really tough.
So knowing April quite well, pushing 172 beats a minute at the moment, she is trying her
She can see.
absolute best.
Yeah, she can see that group up the road.
The avatar looks great. And then these two guys here, we know these guys quite well, Tim, both Zach and Steve. I'm sure, knowing them, they will work together. And we can see another group just off in the background there as well.
Yeah, so
starting to
as we move back through the field through to Sarah Goodyear and Jason Maddo Madsen and Sean Ryan as well. So they'll need to start to bunch up here and potentially work together. And then moving back to Adrian Elsom, Jeff Bartlett and Hayley Tuck, they'll start to work together too.
So we're going through the section. Sorry, we've just jumped back to the front, guys. So we're hitting the aquarium section.
Yep.
And
We'll stay with the front group as we come out of the ramp, because I definitely know that as you come out of the aquarium, you get a small rise, a climb out of the tunnel, if you want to call it. It's about 300 metres long, about 3%. It's a really key moment where potentially probably on the second lap, I would say, that you'll probably see some bigger attacks. But certainly watch for some really high wattage and some big powder
so
weight
we're
ratios.
starting to see these guys sort of get into a bit more of a groove, if you like, and holding some numbers that's definitely sustainable for them as athletes. So really good, solid group.
Phil's done a wonderful job. Phil Ingram has really, and Alex for that matter in C grade, have managed to hold the wheel here of the A graders.
Yep.
So that's a really big step. And knowing what they can pull, they really put in early to be able to stick with them. And obviously Tony Goodyear there as well in B grade up the front here. So some interesting elements to the racing unfolding in front of our very eyes.
And tell me this, Tim, where else in the world do you get to ride through an aquarium?
Only on Zwift, I would.
That's what
I would say probably the UAE would be the next place in the real world.
They're just building it now.
Knowing the UAE, they're likely to build something like that. But
They might be the first ones to build the Zwift world.
Yeah, that's right. But really unique. We come through the tunnel here, and it does open up into the centerpiece of the aquarium section, where you'll see that the guys will ride under a very large tree. I don't know
Through
what
or
the
under?
tree-
Through or under?
I'd be through and under.
We're going to
if
call it a big adjective tree. We'll leave it at that. I don't know what sort of tree. I'm not a botanist. I'm not too good on my trees.
Now some really good gameplay going here. So you could see off the front that Tebow was really quite aggressive off the start, but he hasn't really come to the front now for quite a few minutes. And if you look at his wattage, he's riding at around 200 watts, so he's getting the draft effect on Zwift, which is really, really smart riding.
Yep.
So again, you get in this situation in groups of 7-8 cyclists where essentially they're almost fighting for the rear.
Yep.
So they're going to come around this corner here, and we're going to see some big numbers. I'll
So
hand over to you, Greg.
This is
to
the
call
right
this.
hander when we hit the little kicker,
Yep.
and we'll see if there's some attacks off the front here. This is where me as an athlete, I'd be starting to think about having an attack. So let's see how we go here. We've got some bigger numbers coming through. Alex is
Here we go.
clearly having a push straight up the hill. Tebow's going to have a crack
Big
here.
response here.
We
Big
got-
response. Tebow off the front
He's
here.
off. So Alex has just been dropped a little bit there. Jason Avery pushing 8 watts a kilo. Tony Goodyear 7.9 watts a kilo. So some huge numbers.
But it will likely come back. Now we're going to see a little separation here. We could see 3 cyclists breaking away from the group. They should be responding pretty good here. See a little bit of separation in the group. They may or may not come back together across this dirt section. You almost see Tebow sitting up here and letting
certainly
Tony
has.
Goodyear and who have we got here? And Jason Avery,
Jason,
of course.
yeah,
So
yeah.
we've got 3 off the front here, back to
And then
4-second gap. So this gap could form here. We can see in the rear. And perhaps if we move back through the race, back to Steve Davies, and we'll be able to see this second group. Okay, so they've come up the ramp already as well.
Sarah, Maddo, April all together. You can see them in the dust in the background.
Yeah, fantastic
I'm
racing
sure
back here as well.
They will all. There's a bit going on here. There's a lot of C graders there around together. Now our biggest group, but so
Chris
we're
Piper
only-
back on the wheel of the 3, so the 3 becomes
Become
4.
four again.
Well done to Chris Piper doing the work to bridge back across here. He'll just be rolling here now, or he's going to continue his attack potentially.
And we've got the 2 Aarons working together just back from them in 6 seconds, and Phil not far off their wheel with Alex.
This is
as
really
well.
exciting. This is great. We've got that Chris
This is
has
what we
bridged that
wanted,
gap.
right? This is what we wanted.
This
So
is really good. So we're coming up to, we've come through this fishing village here, and we'll come through some relatively steady gradient for the next.
So we've got to, once we're through the fishing village, we've got a little climb, another little 300 metre long climb, which I'm not sure we're there quite yet. We're just on that 1% sort of false flat.
This will sort of S its way. It's not the S's section, but this is, it's a bit of a false flat, as you say, as they come up here over the bridge. But not the greatest time to be attacking. I'd say after coming out of that, they'll just be regrouping. But I would say that, going back to Aaron Webb and Aaron Stagg, the Aarons, if we want to call
The
that
2
group.
Aarons, yeah. It's like the
they're
2
not-
Ronnies, Tim.
You
It's
can
like the
see
2
them in the
Ronnies.
distance there. I wouldn't say they're out of it. If they want to start to get a wriggle on, they can start to close that gap. Otherwise, it may very well be
it's gonna blow,
curtains
yeah.
on those on that big group sticking together.
Yeah.
A
So
pretty
there's
key
a
moment there.
There's a bit of ding dong going back on here too, with Sarah and April riding together. Zach's just up the road for the Maddo, not far back. So looks like there might be a group of 4 starting to form here as well.
Yep.
And out of that group of 4, I think we've got 1 B grade, which is going to be Steve, and then we're going to have 3 C graders together with another 2 C graders we can see in the background. So it's definitely reforming.
Yeah, April and Sarah here should work together here and just bridge that gap up ahead. We're with Sarah here and April, but we are following Sarah at the moment, and they're just starting to close the gap there on Steve Davies and Zach Anstey and come together as a 4 would be a much smarter strategic move.
And you can start to see here too, Tim, the difference in being sitting on a wheel in Zwift. So there's a bit of gameplay there. So if we look at
they
the
close
watts
the
per,
gap here.
we look at the watts per kilo. April's pushing about 0.6 of a per kilo less than what Sarah is to do the same speed.
Yep. And moving back also as well, we've got Jeff Bartlett and Hayley Tuck and Adrian Elsom working their way around as well. So they're a group unto themselves as well, working their way. So we've got, we're with Jeff Bartlett, of course, here. He's in Canberra. And on his wheel is Hayley Tuck.
Yep.
And then Adrian Elsom over in Perth, who will really try and fight hard to form that group of 3.
Yeah. They're going really well as well. So there's definitely not too much separation right through the entire field when we go back and have a look at it. We're back. We're actually back to the front, and we've got a little attack here off the front coming from. I'm trying to work
with
out
Alex
we're
Tolman
with
here.
Alex, so he's having a dip off the front. Alex had an amazing run on the weekend, Tim. I was up the Sunshine Coast, and Alex broke his PB for the half marathon last weekend.
It was a fantastic run. It was a fantastic run, Alex. He managed to do a half marathon, but inside that half marathon, he had a 5K, a 10K PB as well. And he's recovered really well. So here he is in the front group.
And can say from first hand, he did have
Second group, I should say.
have his tongue hanging a long way out with a couple of Ks to go. It was great to see.
Yeah, so we're with Jason Avery here. Jason, of course, also 2 weeks ago did a half marathon PB. So some very handy multi-sport athletes here. And as they come through the cobbled section
The cobbles.
of the Watopia flat course. There is a sprint com through this section here, but of course we don't award points in the races for comms. Something that we may add a little bit later, but for now, it's just part of the racing.
So, playing the devil's advocate, when are we going to pick up the our power up?
Yeah,
that should be coming
that's-
up soon. So that's
that's
going to be
right.
interesting. We won't obviously see what these guys are picking up until they use them on lap 2, but it's going to be really cool to see that come
Yes,
through.
they'll pick up a potential power up through this sprint section, and as they wind their way through here, they'll come across a village. So this is a really powerful front group now. We've got Chris Piper, Tony Goodyear, Jason, and Tebow. No real surprises here. These guys are strong athletes, but also strong power to weight ratios too. So not only are they powerful,
Yep.
but they're in good shape would be the best way.
That's
best
a
way to
fair
put it.
comment, I would say. That's
Yeah,
a
so we've got to
definitely
keep.
fair-
We'll stay with it here because we do have a little bit of a ramp here coming out, and I think we may see another attack through this next, and we might just sit back and enjoy and watch some of these big numbers if something should happen.
Right, so we are seeing a little bit of a push up the hill. I'm going to throw it out there and say Tebow's sort of sitting in a bit here. And look, Chris Piper, 4.7. Tebow, 5 watts a kilo, so definitely not sitting in. Tony Goodyear is pushing a solid there. I've just lost him, but he's definitely pushing up through the field at 4 watts a kilo.
Yep.
So that's the top of that climb now. So then we get a little rundown towards the finish.
30 seconds back to the second group.
Yeah.
30 seconds back to the second group. So of this race, you're going to get the top 4 now out of this front group, barring any sort of implosion as they work their way through the S's. We'll leave them for now and go to that second group, Alex and Aaron, as
They're
they
on the climb now.
finish their way up this climb. So a good time to stay together, actually, rather than perhaps throwing a couple of jabs, because all it will do is probably isolate you, and
Yeah.
the group will probably come back to you.
Yeah, and probably a good point as well. There's going to be a few guys and girls hanging in there now that aren't going to have a whole lot of petrol. So I just noticed Aaron's heart rate there hitting 175 beats a minute. So
Yep.
that's getting up there.
Yeah, for sure. Let's go to April. April and Sarah here as they work their way up the climb. Feather power ups.
there
So
we
we've
go.
got some
Both of them.
power ups there.
Both of
So really interesting that they would choose to play them, but that's okay because they're about to pick up another one. They're all
So they all lucked out
So
on
that's-
they got their perfect power and all used it in the perfect spot.
That's the perfect spot to use it, but that often happens where I say that power-ups are contagious.
Yep.
Because you see someone using it, it's like, oh, I better use mine.
Yeah, right.
And sometimes it's best to keep it in the kit bag, but of course, being a 2-lap race, you might as well use it and risk it to try and go for that
Sure.
15-second aero boost.
So these guys are now obviously in a group to themselves. Zach, Steve, April, and Sarah, and I would imagine that they're going to stay together for quite a period of time now until we hit that climb again on the second lap.
Yeah, correct. Now, Sean, it would appear Sean Ryan has just fallen off the back of this group now, is in somewhere, you could say no man's land in then back to Jason Maddo Madsen. And of course, this is all the part of the learning of,
Yep.
of Zwift racing as well and knowing when to go. And but
Nice. So here's Maddo coming through here now, and nice wheels, very nice wheels.
Yeah, so and we'll move up through the race. See where the front of the race is at on the course at the moment. Yeah, right through to the end here. We've got a draft
Perfect.
bus, so really smart play by Tebow. He's good gamesmanship there. He's using his power up and almost risking the fact that once he finishes his lap, these guys will pick up a new power up. Now, of course, if you don't play it, you're
You
stuck
hold
with
on
it.
to it, yeah.
So Tebow here risking that that he may pick up something a little bit better, trying to go probably for that aero boost power.
Sure. So different courses call for different power. Well, the better
doubt.
power up. So definitely get rid of the van. Get
Yeah.
rid of the van.
So completed one lap in under 15 minutes. Now that is really solid racing by these guys off the front. That's really solid. So we're looking for about a 30-minute race here.
Yeah, very solid.
Give or take, which is really solid for Watopia flat 2-lap course.
So I would imagine that we're going to all stay together until we hit the base of that climb, as I said before. So lap 2 is going to be very interesting, Tim.
Absolutely, mate. They're going to be coming up through here. Let's we might move back now to the second group again. Really interesting cluster of athletes here: Alex Tolman and Phil Ingram, Aaron Webb here. So we've got a obviously we've got some A grade mixed in here with C grade.
Yep.
So that's really interesting in itself that these guys would find themselves together. But again, all part of the gamesmanship of nominating for categories.
Yeah, and there's a little bit of gaming to that. There's also going to be a little bit of discretion from the judges to put people up and down grades if we see fit, or not even that. It's not as subjective as that. So it's basically, there's a whole lot of rules that you can check out on the coalsportsleague.com, which will explain how all the grading works as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And as we complete this first lap, we might take a short break and have a look at some wonderful BMC bicycles.
You.
Backed by the confidence of a world championship win, the prestige of a Tour de France title, and the experience of owning countless world and Grand Tour stages, the machine is well equipped to stare any brutal day of racing square in the face. And yet to win is not enough. Even the best must evolve to remain at the top step of the podium. Our mission is to innovate constantly to make the world's winningest bike even better. Now, it's your turn to evolve. You're ready to carry on the winged legacy of the Team Machine.
Hi, I'm Danilo Vis, pro cyclist at BMC Racing Team since 10 years. As a pro cyclist, I spend really a lot of time on my bike, and it's really my main work tool. This bike is really light, which is important for a hard climbing stage. It's also stiff, which is good for a sprint in the final of a stage, and it's compliant, which is important for a hard, long day on the bike like we have on the Grand Tour. After 10 years as a pro cyclist, I can feel that position is really important, and this geometry is really good. I can find my perfect position on this bike. It's really aggressive, but I can take also really good downhills. Making a much better bike as this one, it's not going to be an easy task.
We always got great feedback on the handling and ride quality of the current Team Machine, so we wanted to keep things that are good the same. So for example, the geometry, we kept it quite similar to the current generation. Yeah, we saw a lot of opportunity actually into integrate more parts into the frame design, but also make it even lighter and better handling and responsive. Yeah, we definitely saw the opportunity to give the riders the option to choose brake technology, so either rim brake or disc brake. This technology gives us the opportunity to make tons of virtual prototypes in a very short time. So we're able to test the carbon layout, the material, but also the frame shapes. And one of the main changes is also the integration of cables. So not only the disc cables, but also all the shifting cables are integrated. They are routed through the frame. The seat post clamp is fully integrated into the frame design. But also we were able to make a disc brake frame at the weight target of our previous rim brake design. So we were really able to make one of the light.
Righto, we've had to just quickly come back to the action here because this is the start of the climb on the second lap. Is a big part of the course.
Don't want to miss this. This is it. We've got a feather power up here. We've got a feather power up in the middle of the section here. So we're going to see some attacking. Thibaut choosing to sit back off. Remembering on the first lap, he really attacked off the front.
And a couple of feather ups being used early in the lap.
Here comes Thibaut here. He's going to respond.
He's going to have a crack.
He's going to go off the top of the climb. Thibaut dropping the hammer at 9.1 We're watching him here. 500 watts, 182 beats per minute. Seeing whether they can get a response. Chris Piper here moving up behind. And
Jason
they are
Avery,
responding and
they're coming
linking back.
So, bit of a background there. Tebow's a crit racer, so very used to these attacks with attack after attack after attack. So maybe he's going to draw their legs out for the remainder of the lap.
A little bit like, I feel like Tebow at the moment's a cat with one of those little balls, and he's kind of tossing it around in the air. But you never know, because Jason Avery is in rare form at the moment. And also, of course, Chris Piper here and Tony Goodyear. Tony Goodyear is doing Ironman Cairns next week, and Chris is doing the 70.3. Two athletes
Just
in
in
taper.
taper, yeah.
Just in taper, ready to go. Group 2 here, coming up the ramp. We'll see a really key moment here. I think we'll see Aaron Webb on the outside in the green and Alex in the all black. I love that all black kit. And it's really, really looking slick. Of course,
So
here,
they're
the Training
pushing
Peaks
some.
kit.
They're pushing some big numbers through there too. 5.5 watts, 6 watts a kilo
100
from Phil. So Phil will come through now from the back at 6 watts a kilo, no doubt about it.
Aaron Stagg's pushing nearly 180 beats per minute here across the crest here of that small climb. But they've all managed to stay together, which is really good. That's really positive. Here's Group 3.
Isn't it interesting? We've got 3 groups of 4.
Yeah, it's
Three
fantastic.
groups of 4. So we've got April, Zach, Sarah, and Steve Davies all still together.
Are we going to see any attacks, or are they going to stay together?
And interestingly, this group hasn't used any power-ups, whereas the front group did.
Correct.
So
Yeah, correct. Yeah,
it's going to be
that's a really
interesting to see
call.
what happens at the end.
And moving back to Sean Ryan here. Sean Ryan here working his way up with the, I would say, really good sock game, Sean. I like the orange socks with the blue kit.
That looks like a nice
Little
very
side-on
nice.
view there.
Actually looks like Sean. He's got it all happening. So if we keep going back through the guys here and have a look back to Maddo,
Yep,
he's
Matto
sort of,
coming up the climb as well.
and then back to Haley and Adrian and I've
Jeffy
just missed
Bartlett.
them for a minute. Jeff was with them as well. So if we just pop back there for a minute. So Haley riding very strongly. She's in the aquarium section at the moment. And also Adrian not too far back as well. So those guys
Not
are
too far
working
back as
really well.
Yeah, 2.3 watts per kilo. That's really good. A really good effort by those guys, and working their way around the course, which is great to see. And we'll jump now to the front of the course, the front of the race here. We've got A grade action going on here on that next ramp. We have Jason, Tebow, Chris Piper, and Aaron Webb all in A grade, duking it out here for points. They're going for points.
So being a little bit of a racer myself, I'd be looking at the moment to a lot of these guys to start sitting up soon. I think there's going to be one more flurry of attacks as we hit that climb towards the finish.
Yep.
That's my tip. I'll throw it out there, and then we're going to see the most ginormous sprint and throw to the line
I
you've
tell
ever
you what,
seen.
they're happy to let Tony there just flap out in the breeze at the moment. So a small gap there, not enough for him to get away, but the 3 others, of course, will be getting a nice draft effect.
So certainly a false flat. So on the indoor trainer, definitely getting an effect on the trainer here and placing a little bit more resistance on the bike. So again, we're up to 1-2%. So nothing too big, but we're certainly you certainly know you're working through this section.
Yep. Important that you maintain some sort of a steady cadence over at least 80. 80 RPM would be good. You don't want to be grinding at this point. You still want everything to be working pretty freely. Again, no real attacks. I can't see any attacks here at this point. So we will. We'll drop back here to Group 2, if you want to call it that again. The Aaron's group. The Aaron's plus 2.
That's it. I'm calling them the 2 Ronnies. That's it. The 2 Ronnies. So these guys, the 4 of them are all still, again, working together. And it probably shows a little bit of... a lot of our athletes have done a lot of research on these races. They've all, I would say most, have ridden the course before. So they've got a fair idea of what's coming up.
Yep.
Plus, we're giving them a bit of a heads up through the commentary as well.
Yeah, Alex moving across here, third wheeling, and really smart place to be. It's a bit like the Melbourne Cup, 1 out, 1 back.
Yeah, so that's where
In
you want
horse
to be.
racing parlance.
That's where you want to be as a trotter.
Back to April and Zach. And,
So these guys, Tim, have held, like they're still only at 24 seconds. If there's a bit too much foxing going up the front in the group ahead of them in Group 2, is there an opportunity that they could bridge the gap?
Unlikely, I would say. Highly unlikely. I think you've got your clear separations here of the group. And potentially if the race was longer, that would be the case. They may come together, but there's a clear separation here and just not enough time or enough road for them to bridge the gap.
Who we got here? We got
Moving back,
Maddo
moving back
coming
through the
through.
field here, Jason Maddo and Hayley Tuck. If we go to Hayley, I think Hayley's still managing to really hold in at that 2.3, 2.5 watts per kilo. As she comes up the ramp here, putting in a really, really big effort. Hayley's really bouncing back in terms of her cycling journey and working away, but she's using a feather power
Nice.
up. That's puts a real smile that she's worked out how to use the power ups in the game.
Yep.
And again, just someone who really, I would say, a month ago had really no idea about Zwift and how it works.
I think this was the question. Tim, what is Zwift?
Yeah,
That was
it's-
probably along those
That's what
lines.
it's about. It's about teaching, so then she can go back into the fold of the other Zwift racing leagues and compete on that stage too.
So we're back to the front guys now, and there's still a little bit going on here. We had definitely backed it right off. We're watching Jason here. He's pushing, his heart rate's come right down, 154 beats a minute. I think he was touching 185 earlier. So
They're sitting in for the finish.
100%.
They're sitting in for the finish, and probably a really good chance for us. We'll go through this little ramp because we may see an attack. I take that back. We may see an attack here as they come up this little ramp. We'll soon find out.
300 metres at 5.5%. So there's definitely something here. Here goes Tebow.
Tebow dropping
10
9
kilo.
So yeah, he's absolutely
Okay,
an
here's
attack,
the
and he may
attack.
stick with it. Jason's got to respond. They have to respond to this attack.
The other
we
two.
have power ups. Tebow is using the feather power up. Jason Avery's got big power though. He is responding. He's got his head down. He's got his purple socks exploding off his ankles. He's got to bridge up to Tebow. He cannot hold him off. I reckon he may bridge across here. Jason's got really good endurance and good across the crest here. He has to dig in here and bridge back to Tebow, or else it'll be game over.
That was impressive, Tim. That was pretty impressive. So we're going back here to Tony Goodyear as well. He's
That
just
group
crested
has
the
been
top of it.
blown apart.
Yeah.
Tebow has absolutely blown that. Yep, he has dropped the hammer and blown that front group apart. 4 really handy cyclists. He's blown that group apart. So Tony here's just got to hang in and stay potentially ahead of Chris Piper. So maybe we have a race in 2. Jason only 13 metres off the back of Tebow as we wind our way through the S's here. We're going to stay with this right through the end of the race because this will be a thrilling finish.
And he's going to get back on the wheel.
And we're
He's
back.
back on.
So this will be interesting. Tebow's had a chance here to probably just spin the legs over while Jason's still been working. Be really interesting.
I did notice his heart rate at 190, so it's definitely going to be on. He's working.
There's that wattage drop. See Jason now tucked in behind Tebow's wheel. Just, as we come over this ramp, but it's more around the sort of the 200s on the flat.
Yep.
And then we're going to wind our way down to the finish. I think Jason has used his power up. I think coming up to respond.
He did.
But I think Tebow used the feather as well to get away. So I do believe this is just going to be
Mano
two
Mano.
blows, gloves off, absolutely going off to the line. So we'll see.
So we've got about 1.3 Ks to go of this rolling terrain, and then we're into the finish
This is on.
with 300 to go. Where's the popcorn, Tim?
We need
Where's
the popcorn. This is going to be a thrilling finish. So here we go as we wind our way through to the long finish. Tony Goodyear here, of course, in 3rd position in the overall standings. Of course, racing in B grade. So Tony Goodyear will take out B grade tonight. But we have the battle up the front of the race for A grade.
It's definitely going to be on.
Tebow, here we go. Cat and mouse here as the boys go. You'll see someone will break first. It's a bit of a game of poker of who's gonna break first.
And
Tebow sitting on the wheel of Jason.
So we went through lap 1 in 15 minutes. We're coming up to that 29-minute mark at the moment. So
Tebow
definitely
moving to the front. Jason right on his wheel. You're going to see an attack.
Here we go.
Tebow's
Here it
dropping
is.
10.6 watts. He's got the draft bus. Jason Avery did
Here
hold
we
a power
go.
up. Can he
12
respond?
watts a
He's
kilo,
sitting on his
Jason.
foot. Can Jason Avery move through? There's going to be almost a trainer explosion. Jason Avery coming up on the left. Tebow responds.
Look at this. They're both
Jason,
at it.
neck and neck down the finish. Oh my God, this is so close. We can't see it. It looks like Tebow
Tebow!
is going across
He's
the
got him
line
on.
to Jason Avery.
Half
My
a wheel.
goodness gracious me.
Wow.
Chris Piper and Tony Goodyear also for 2nd and 3rd position. Tony Goodyear throws down the hammer. He will take B grade. Chris Piper will take 3rd in
And if
A grade.
We keep going back down the field now. We should find the next group of 4, or they were 4 on the road somewhere. And they shouldn't be too far off that finish line. We've still got them all together.
I
Tim
need a
needs a
cigarette.
breather.
I need a cigarette after that finish. Oh my goodness gracious me.
We're going to get another genuine sprint finish coming through here as well.
That was unbelievable.
This is going to
Thank
be
you,
on.
Tebow and Jason, for that. That was a fantastic finish. Two guys really going at it. So, and of course, now we're back here with Aaron Stagg. Aaron Webb here in the all green. Aaron Webb here in A grade. So he'll be rounding out the points.
Top 5, yep.
Top 5 here in A grade. And he'll be. There's no real need for Aaron to drop the hammer. So if you are
he
listening,
can
Aaron,
spin
just
it in.
Aaron's. If you just want to roll across the line, so we might leave those guys roll across the line. Drop
got-
back here to a C grade battle. We got
So-
Alex and Phil Ingram here.
So this group's been split up a little bit. These are the two have been dropped by the two Ronnies off the front. So they're going to have to battle it out. So they're both racing C grade for points, Phil and Alex. So
Yeah, let's
this
stay
is
with-
going to be a good sprint
This
finish
will be a
as well.
hunting. So Phil Ingram sitting here on Alex Tolman's wheel. Alex currently off the front. You can see just pushing more watts per kilo and more likely more watts. So Phil here moving up, moving closer.
Check out the
potentially
heart
in
rate,
for-
Tim.
Yeah,
Alex
197
Tolman.
beats per minute. Alex Tolman is feeling every bit of this, and good on him. We'll just see if he's got
See if we've got
another
any
gear to go
power-ups.
to.
And
Phil
they've
Ingram's-
got Aaron Webb just in front of them.
Yep.
Coming through.
Here
There's
comes
the
the
power
draft
up.
bust by Aaron Tolman. Here we go. Here comes the sprint finish to the line. They've both got
They're
a
gonna
draft
get
bust.
Webby too,
Can Phil Ingram respond as he comes around the outside?
Geez, they're pushing massive
pushing
watts.
to the line.
And
Pushing to the line.
Phil's
It's gonna
going
be
to
a
grab
close
him on the
finish.
line.
And it
He's
looks
got
like
him.
Phil's got
He's
Alex
him.
on the line, but great racing yet again.
And this is our sprint for our third group. Steve Davies pumping and dropping it off the front. We've got April, Sarah, and Zach still hanging in there with 100 metres to go. There's no power-ups here. What's going on? Sarah's pushing. April's on a wheel. Is April going to come through? Is Steve going to hold on? It's on. And we've got Steve-O! Sarah,
goodness
then
gracious.
April, followed by Zach. That is ridiculous how close that got.
Unbelievable racing. Unbelievable racing.
So we've still got a few guys hanging in out there, and we are struggling just at the moment to get back to you guys. But that was unbelievable.
I think we
Tim.
need to take a short break.
Oh, I need a drink.
Hi, my name is Mark Otten. I'm the Road Product Manager at BMC Switzerland. Next to me, you see the new Time Machine Road. The goal of creating this bike was to create the fastest road bike possible. We did this by integrating as many features as possible into the system design. What also benefits to making this bike as fast as possible is the highest possible power transfer in the center of the bike. We did this by creating a very high BB and chainstay stiffness. Countless hours of testing and engineering resulted in a tube shape that is the best combination of aerodynamic performance, stability and stiffness. On the front end of the bike, we have a new ICS Aero cockpit. This is a completely new design stem handlebar combination. It gets rid of all the visible cables and creates a super minimal frontal surface as well. On the front of the ICS Aero stem, we have an integrated computer mount, making a super smooth transition between computer and stem. On the center of the bike, we have a new Aero module. This integrates hydration and storage into the system design of the frame. The Aero module creates a super clean integrated look and also improves the aerodynamic performance of the complete bike. Part of the total integration package is the front fork. We try to integrate the disc brake caliper in the best way possible by making an aero cover on the front of the fork. With this high level of integration and aerodynamic performance, we were still able to keep the adjustability very high. On the seat post, for example, you have 3 offset positions integrated into one. On the front end of the bike, you are able to change the stem length or the bar width separately. TCC speed is our new compliance concept. On the front end of the bike, with our new ICS Aero stem, we were able to achieve a lot of vertical compliance while still keeping a very high lateral stiffness. On the rear end of the bike, we have stays, bring the seat tube in a very low position. This helps the compliance in the rear of the bike. The new Time Machine Road will be available at your local BMC retailer. We offer 3 different models and 1 frameset module. If you have any other questions about the bike, go to your local BMC shop or contact us directly.
And we're back on. We are watching Hayley Tuck. What about those BMC bikes anyway?
My goodness gracious me. What some finishes we just saw there. I think there will be bodies on the floor.
If a couple of those guys and girls haven't gone for the bucket, I haven't got any texts
I'm
yet.
a pretty proud coach.
Mate, I saw 200 beats a minute. I have not hit 200 beats a minute in my life since I was about 18 years of age when I saw my first girl at a disco.
So we've got of course our mobile phones under the table, and I've just got 15 new threshold notifications for as they've crossed across the line, because of course a great feature with the connection of Training Peaks and Zwift is that it just automatically uploads as you finish your ride. So we're with Hayley Tuck here. Managed to sit above 2 watts per kilo the entire road.
Awesome.
Really super effort. Again, early in her cycling preparation, and will only improve as the season goes on. And of course in D grade as well. So right in the mix for the points. Should finish second, I would say, here in D grade for the night. So
We've just had a quick photo come through from the great Jason Avery.
Jason Avery and Thibaut, bravo. But also Philip Ingram and Alex Tolman. My goodness
That was
gracious,
so close. It was a whisker in it. We're going to have to go check the photo. I mean, it was that close.
There'll be some unbelievable highlights. So, and of course, our production assistant and unbelievable esports coach here, Kent Cross, has a huge smile on his face at the moment, because that was some riveting racing as Hayley works her way through here the S's and almost to the finish line, about a kilometre to go. And so Hayley Tuck's putting on a really, really good effort under the moon sky of Zwift. So we'll just stay with Hayley as she comes down onto Ocean Boulevard to finish race 1. Some good feedback coming through on Facebook at the moment, on of course Facebook Live.
So as Hayley continues her way down, she hasn't got far to go now. She's coming through there. She can probably still feel the heat of those sprints that went through a little bit earlier. So she's pushed all the way to the line, been solo pretty much since the gate dropped 37 minutes ago. So
well
she's
done,
done a
Hayley.
great job, and we really want you to see her pick it up. Look at her, that Tim. She's pushing 3 watts a kilo now on the way to the finish, and she will be spent at the end, just like a lot of our athletes. And we're just going back here to Adrian. He is also still rolling around very strongly.
Coming through the end of the sprint com.
A couple of good ride-ons I can see coming through there from some of our other athletes as well.
So going through some race results here, we've got some official results through on. So we'll start with A grade. We had unbelievable, of course, finish there. Thibaut taking the win in 29 minutes and 26 seconds, and of course Jason sharing the same time, but the microsecond.
They've gone to the photo.
But here's a really interesting point, of course.
I know
So
where you're going.
Thibaut's averaged 267 watts. Jason averaged 286 watts. We can't see the watts per kilo, but of course that will determine. We can see we can see the watts per kilo. So Thibaut averaging 4.2 watts per kilo. Jason Avery 4 watts per kilo. Down to Chris Piper in third in A grade in 29 minutes and 39 seconds. He averaged a whopping 338 watts for 30 minutes. I hazard a guess that he has absolutely set a new FTP and is in trouble tomorrow when his coach updates his FTP. But of course, 3.8 watts per kilo, because Chris is a heavier athlete, heavier set athlete, an ex-rugby player, so carries a bigger frame. And Aaron Stagg, I should say, in 4th position in A grade, finishing in 31 minutes and 21 seconds, 1 minute and 56 seconds back off first. Averaging 265 watts and 3.5 watts per kilo. And rounding out the points in 5th position is Aaron Webb. Aaron Webb, of course, in Sydney, He averaged 165 beats per minute, finishing in 31 minutes and 35 seconds, 2 minutes and 10 seconds back off, of course, that humdinger finish in 286 watts, 3.5 watts per kilo.
Yeah, now on to B grade. Very interesting and strategic in B grade. There was only 2 entrants tonight. So Tony Goodyear, an amazing result, 29 minutes and 38 seconds, 4.3 watts per
Just
kilo.
to cut you off here, we've got Adrian using the Aero Boost as he winds his way through the S's, working his way to the finish line. Done an absolutely fantastic job to work his way around. Of course, a Perth-based athlete. And again, early in his cycling journey, recently purchased a Wahoo Kicker.
Nice.
First-time subscriber to Zwift.
Nice. And rounding out B grade, we had Steve Davies all the way up in sunny North Queensland in Cairns, 31 minutes, 59 seconds, 3.3 watts a kilo. I'm going to be tipping that's going to be around his FTP as well at 238. Top of my head, he's a 241 guy.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
So C grade, big group in C grade. So this is the first grade where where athletes they're actually going to miss out on points because we had 7 finishes.
We did unfortunately have a few people miss out on points, but taking out the win in C grade is Phil Ingram, based in Ballarat in Victoria. Now, if you're unfamiliar with Australia's landscape, Ballarat, it snowed there yesterday. And coming out of Woolworths, I know people had sliding trolleys across the supermarket. So we had a time gap there of 0 seconds. But of course, we saw that finish and we know Phil just edged Alex Tolman at the line, both holding around 3.2, 3.3 watts per kilo. April Gillies taking 3rd place over Sarah Goodyear. Again, both with similar times. April just managed to edge out Sarah across the line. Zach Anstey rounding out the points.
And
in
same
5th,
time as well.
In 5th position, just about the same time, 1 second back, taking home points with an average of 207 watts. And of course, not going home with points, but going home with the fitness benefit, of course, of doing the race, which is what this is all about, is Jason Maddow-Madsen doing, of course, Cairns Ironman next week. And Sean Ryan, of course, in 7th position in C grade as well, finishing 2 minutes and 13 seconds off the back. And we have D grade right now finishing here with Adrian Elsom.
Both with points. So we had 2 entrants here, 3 entrants. We haven't yet seen what's happened to our good friend Dave.
I would say it's... so Dave, I don't believe Dave Diondo managed to start. I think he had something bob up late. But Jeff Bartlett may have experienced some technical difficulties, which is just IT, and that happens. But Adrian Elsom here coming to the finish line, and it would appear that he's going to finish in under 45 minutes. Which is absolutely fantastic. That's a really super effort for Adrian. We were talking about pre-race, about where Adrian and Haley and where certain athletes would be. And I think I said to you, I think Adrian will be around 45 minutes.
Spot on.
And he's actually under time. So that's a really super effort and a great way to round off round 1 of the Koa Sports League. And you can go and see the official results. They will be posted in the next 24 to 48 hours on koasportsleague.com.
Yes, and if you are interested, as we said at the start of the broadcast, your best 6 of 9 races. So if you want to get involved, we were so excited tonight. That was so much fun, right? If you want to get involved...
Bravo, athletes.
Well
done, Adrian.
If you want to get involved, check out koasportsleague.com. Get in contact with Tim or myself. Send us a message on Facebook or whatever you need to do, Instagram, whatever's going on in your life. Come across, let us know. We can definitely take more athletes into the league, and that's the beauty about the Zwift platform. So we would really, really love to see as many of you guys as possible join us. Our next race is going to be
round 2 on the 20th
2.
of June. Round 2 on the 20th of June for points. We, of course, have some group workouts between now and then. And coming up on the 4th and 6th of June, which will be probably, I'd say, Kent Cross will be taking those group workouts. And, of course, you, Greg, have got an Ironman coming up yourself. So good luck, buddy. Look, we really look forward to catching up with everyone there. And Koa Sports 01 on Facebook and on Instagram, koasportsleague.com for any more action. Thank you very much. Thanks to our partners. Over and out. Mic drop. Always wanted to do that.